What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets podcast. The boys are abroad. This is a chaos episode. It's currently 8 a.m. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. The boys are in the
Oi.
UK. I'm in Scotland right now. Shout out St. Andrews. James is in Manchester. And of course, what happens when James leaves the country? The Mets refuse to lose. A series sweep over the Washington Nationals. Really good baseball being played. But again, more importantly, we have to start the conversation. Do we start a GoFundMe to move James to England permanently or at least out of the country, maybe to Canada? He could still be relatively close. Mexico. Does Puerto Rico count as out of the country? I'd like to hear your thoughts here, James.
I mean, we're not going to get into the socio-political issues of is Puerto Rico part of the United States of America, but it's a compelling place to start. Not compelling. We're going to talk about real baseball really quickly, but just as a quick aside, I left the country basically the whole month of April after the first series against the Brewers, and I also left again this past Monday. And with me out of America this season, the Mets are 14-9. It's a great
It's
baseball
really
team.
good.
That's a really good start to the season. With me in America this season, the Mets are 13-26. Worst team in baseball, 33% winning percentage, completely abhorrent baseball the whole time, the whole month of May when I was actually in New York the entire time. So there might be something real here. I mean, we'll see what happens when the Mets actually play the Phillies. It'll be a good test case this weekend. One of the best teams in baseball with me presently at the game, but also out of the country, which are the two things coming
Oh,
against each
yeah.
other. That's going to be a hard one. However, the Mets just played their best all-around series that I can remember this year. All the starting pitchers, McNeil, David Peterson, Luis Severino pitched into the sixth inning. Severino completed 8 innings on 90 pitches. Lineup went around well. I think the games on Tuesday and Wednesday, everyone in the starting nine got a hit. The bullpen was good enough to not blow the leads. Like everything was smooth. It was good. The Jose Iglesias train has left the station. Luis Torrens is a savior. Francisco Lindor now once again is a good hitter. Pete Alonso started to hit the ball, hit a crazy home run Tuesday night. Vientos keeps hitting incredibly well. Nimmo started to swing it a little bit better, had a lot of hard hit balls. Things just looked really good. This looked like the Mets team that we expected out of the gate that we have not gotten for a very long time.
Yeah, and I'll just apologize right now if we sound awful. I think the boys are a little bit hungover.
Oh my God.
The UK has really treated us well this far. St. Andrews, I'm hanging out with the uni kids at St. Andrews University right now. Shout out Christopher, my family friend who is being my host. My host. That's the word I'm looking for. Chaperone wasn't right. Yeah, dude,
Chaperone.
it's so early and like I can still feel the beer in the top of my chest. It's like burning. I got
Oh,
heartburn. This is bad, but having a
we make
great
jokes
time.
about it a lot, but Mark doesn't ever wake up before 10 o'clock, ever. When's the last time you woke up before 10? Do you remember?
It's gotta be for a flight. Like, I feel like that's pretty it's either, like, for a flight or when I get my, like, Crohn's infusion, like, if they're like, "We're coming at
Oh my
9," I'll be
God.
like, "Okay, I gotta wake up at 9 o'clock," and then
They're
I
coming
go
to your house
yeah, they're coming to
still.
my house, and I go right to bed immediately after. So this is early, especially when it was a late night, got home at, like, 2:30, 3 o'clock. So we're grinding, we're working, but that's what we're doing here for the Messed Up Podcast. Across the country nope, not even across the country, across the friggin'
Pond.
ocean, and we're still podcasting and getting this out for you guys for the morning. So, talking about baseball, I think the first thing maybe in Mets world that we got to talk about here is this Jose Iglesias versus Jeff McNeil thing that has now come up. McNeil hasn't played in the last three, hasn't started in the last 3 or 4 games, I believe. Basically, since Jose Iglesias has been called up, I don't think he's really gotten a start. And in the games that Jose Iglesias has played, the defense has been better, the offense has been better. There's kind of really no reason to be playing Jeff McNeil right now, which is a crazy sentence than 2024. We were talking about how the Mets are a better team or have been a better team on paper right now with Jose Iglesias playing second base over Jeff McNeil.
There's just seems like a weird tangible vibe too. There's just something about him in the lineup. He made a diving play, I think, late in the game or possibly to end the game on Wednesday. And Francisco Lindor hugged Jose Iglesias like he was his brother. Like he was like he'd been waiting for him forever. And Mark, there was a great piece that came out. I think Tacoma, Sam, and I think Tim Healy. I think all of them wrote it up on Tuesday afternoon that Iglesias and Vientos had like this mentorship bonds like in AAA this year because both of them came out of spring training and felt like they were played certainly well enough to make a team. We talked a lot in the offseason that not the offseason, like just before the season that Glacius had a great spring, and he really made a case for the roster. Zach Short got the spot over him and Joey Wendell, despite him playing better than both of them in the spring. And for him and Vientos, who both felt like they played well enough in the spring to get their starting roles, or at least roster spots, they look to each other. And Vientos, especially to Iglesias, someone who's a veteran who is like, we just have to keep doing it, keep playing well, keep a good attitude, keep your head up, especially when Vientos hit the home run off Matthew Liberatore to win the game against the Cardinals and then goes back down. He basically was someone that Vientos leaned on. And like, it's so good to have a veteran like that who's doing that. But the decision doesn't seem final with Iglesias and McNeil just because there was 3 lefties in this series, Mackenzie Gore, DJ Hers, and
Patrick
whoever. Oh,
Corbin,
Patrick fucking Corbin, yeah. Jeez, that guy's still puttering
so
around.
bad.
But, yeah, God. But so it wasn't like the decision was obvious yet because 3 lefties. So now at least all it is certainly is a platoon. But this season, it's very small sample size. I don't think it actually means anything, but the Mets are 5-0 when Jeff McNeil is not in the lineup, which is kind of shitty to say out loud. And again, there just seemed to be a bit of an energy with Iglesias on the field that I haven't seen this year with Jeff. And it's just like I can understand from a baseball team, from competitors, from professional athletes' perspective that this guy's playing like shit and he's like pouty and he's throwing things and like he's mad and like all this. I don't know. Like the vibes are weird with Jeff McNeil this year. They have been for 2 years now. They have been for 3 out of 4 years now. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't think he's better than Jeff McNeil, but I think the team recently looked better with him over
Yeah,
Jeff.
and I think that's the way to put it. This version of Jeff McNeil, he is better than, obviously, because this version of Jeff McNeil is just really not doing anything productive. Nice sneeze there, James. Way to mute it. Professional podcaster. The boys don't miss, even at 8 o'clock in the morning, hungover. But yeah, I mean, in a world, it would be a great problem if we're like, wow, Jose Iglesias is really good. Like, I'd love to be like looking like a week from now and be like, what do we do with Jeff McNeil? We got to get rid of this guy because Jose Iglesias is our second baseman. It's also a real possibility that Jeff McNeil doesn't make it to the trade deadline with this team. I'm not talking about DFA, but this feels like a possible maybe ship out situation at some point. I think if Ronnie Mauricio was around, definitely would be the case. But the only thing that makes it tough is Jeff does give you infield and outfield depth, which is something that the Mets obviously could use, is valuable to the team right now. And I know you talked about the vibe being different with Jose Iglesias on the field too, but I feel like trading a guy like Jeff would probably throw off the vibe of like Pete and Nimmo, guys who were like pretty close to them a little bit too. And I don't necessarily know if you want to make that move. Whatever it is, okay problem to have. That's really where I want to wrap this thing up here is that right now Jose Iglesias is playing good baseball. He's helping the Mets play good baseball. Continue to play the hot hand. And like you said, credit to Carlos Mendoza, putting the right guy in the lineup, giving him a shot. McNeil hasn't been performing, and now Jose Iglesias is that guy.
And just you could feel that immediately on Tuesday night. The fact the bottom of the order, him and Luis Torrens kind of were the driving force in the Mets' big rallies in the fourth and fifth innings, where it's just these guys came back, these guys have a chance. The Torrens situation is even interesting because he doesn't have an option when he signed this deal. Neither does not have an option anymore either. So he's on. They're both. These guys are both on this team with literally. There's 1 week to make a decision here.
Tomas Nido will probably not get picked up through waivers though because he has that major league contract and it's like $2 or $3 million this year. So he's the rare example of like a guy that weirdly you're okay if you option because no one's ever going to take that contract, and if they do, they're paying it. It's like such a weird situation with him.
That's
But
true.
in the same regards, he probably is a better catcher than Luis Torrens still. But Torrens has like kind of impressed me a little bit. He showed the power in the last game, threw out a couple base runners. Like he's been better than Omar Narvaez, which I guess the bar's on the floor there. But
And hit the ball hard. It wasn't like cheapy hits. He hit the 2 home runs on Wednesday, but it's just it's that's another interesting conundrum where Omar Narvaez was so untenable. The team only had to get through like 9 more games with him, and they were like, "We just purely seen enough." And we told you guys it has been enough because he had one of the worst 30 game stretches in like the history
you
of
like that
baseball. Like
stat.
one of the worst. It is one of the worst 100 baseball players ever over 30 games that we have recorded based on BWAR, Baseball Reference Stat Head. So it's just like, yeah, this is untenable. We have to get rid of him. But it's just, again, it comes back to the hunger, it comes back to the energy, it comes back to the vibe. Things we've like needed to see from this team all season, and just suddenly you put these two guys, new guys, in the bottom of the order, and like things start to churn in a different way. And we kind of forget sometimes in baseball that 2 guys out of 9 is a pretty significant portion of the team, even though it's the bottom of the lineup. We're going to see the Phillies this weekend, and they have like one of the best records in baseball through 40 games, and like a third of their lineup every single day is like barely replacement level players, and they're still this good, which is makes them even more impressive. But just something new happened and clicked. Seemed like this team in Washington where they finally felt like and acted like they were better and
Yes.
played like
Yeah.
it.
No, that was totally a vibe because I know the game. One of the game. It's so confusing over here to talk about which day the games are happening. And shout out to all of you that are Mets fans that aren't from America because in the
Incredible.
3 days I've been here, it's been hellish to watch, and, like, these have been some of the best games, and it's so damn hard because the night games start at, like, basically midnight, which that's kinda late to start a baseball game. I stay up late, but that's a little bit late to start a game, and then to understand what's going on, know what day we're talking about, everything's really thrown off here, but where was I going with this? Oh, man, I
I don't
blanked.
even
I
know.
completely blanked.
I literally don't even I have no idea.
Whatever.
I could
Yeah,
segue it.
segue it. Let's talk about Mark Vientos. Let's talk about him.
That yeah, he's another embodiment of someone earning it, someone being hungry, someone basically playing like every single play in the field, every game, every single at bat could be their last, and it makes sense that he's playing like that because that's kind of what the Mets push on him, even as he has become the starter, even as he's now gotten some security in his role. He has been so
Oh
fucking
yeah.
good. He has changed the complexion of this team and this lineup, the energy, the vibe, every single thing they're doing. And we are people that were like critical of Mark Vientos, but I think in a fair
Yes.
way. But I think now, just like we like doing on this podcast, when there's material changes, when new things are happening, like we give the credit where it's due. Mark Vientos is fucking awesome. And you're gonna have to take Mark Vientos, you're gonna have to drag a cold, lifeless body out of his batting order to get him out of it because it's undeniable how good he's playing. He's the third Met this season to cross the 1.0 WAR
Wow.
threshold after Francisco Lindor and Brandon
Whoa.
Nimmo. He's the third guy to do it. And it's funny, he actually passed Beatty. Like Beatty was at 0.8, like also tied with Pete, which is just funny thinking about. That's offense versus defense. But I did a tweet from Mets'd because we haven't been tweeting, so I was like, I just want to try something new in the middle of the day yesterday. Every single at bat for Mark Vientos since he had become the starter. This is before the game on Wednesday. Single, ground out, single, fly out, strikeout, home run, ground out, single, strikeout, walk, strikeout, pop up, walk, home run, walk, ground out,
Yeah.
single. That was a 470 average. That was 3 walks and 3 strikeouts, 3 home runs. Guy's fucking nails right now. And he
Yeah,
changed
he's swinging a
everything,
really good
truly.
bat, and this is the kind of stuff like when people were like, "Oh, like we got if we're not going to use him, we should trade. We should do this or that." This is why you keep one of these guys around because we knew that the possibility for this kind of performance was there if those changes were made. He always hit the ball hard. He always had the ability to be a good hitter. He just we know struggled with velo. And right now, even his like approach at the plate seems to be so much better because he's really attacking pitches that are hittable. He's not swinging. He's not chasing that much the stuff that we've seen from Mark Vientos, I think either Will Sam and Tim Healy, again, one of the big boys, right, or over there, Big J Journos, they wrote an article basically about how basically Brett Beatty's been given every opportunity, and we're Brett Beatty fans over here, but also he's now played what like almost 100 games with the Mets, been giving opportunities left and right. He's started, he's played, whatever it has, and he has struggled. Vientos really has never been given that shot to play every day. He didn't get that shot last year. He didn't get the start at, or that shot at spring training. This is the first time in his major league career he's playing what like 7 out of 8 games, 7 out of 10 games even, and it's working. And he's swinging the bat well. And like you said, he's bringing energy. And I'm remembering where I was going with this before. The series, the Mets really dominated outside of the game that got a little bit close in game one, where you had a little bit of a flashback memories to some blown games in Washington. They really just went out and beat the piss out of the Nationals, which is great to see because, like you said, they should be a better team than them. And guys like Vientos and Jose Iglesias, and to his credit, even Luis Torrens, bringing that energy. These guys who aren't given those everyday roles, who need to earn their playing time, it's really helping save this team season right now.
And Vientos, I'll talk about some hitting adjustments he made in a second, but something we've always talked about the defense. He made a fantastic
Oh yeah.
diving play on Tuesday night, like down the line. I think it was a play where probably like maybe someone with a little quicker feet, maybe gets that ball sooner. And I think that Mets fans might not want to hear this, but I had this conversation with a friend of the podcast, Matt Eddy, yesterday. We were just talking Mets, talking prospects, trying to work out a dynasty baseball trade, but that I drank a whole bottle of wine and that kind of derailed the talks a little bit. But half off wine. What was I gonna do? Say no?
Half off
But
alcohol should be illegal. That shouldn't be a thing that you're allowed to do.
50% off all wine, bottles included. So like as a $25, 25-pound bottle of wine for $12.50. I was like, yeah,
12
fuck
quid.
yeah. But 12 quid, mate. But people love when I talk and I have like American accent.
Your
It's
English
hilarious.
accent's
It's like
bad.
not all horrible. No shit. Miserable. But God, I can't swear. Vientos, it seems like there's like 25% of me that maybe thinks that could be an audition for the next first baseman of the team.
Oh,
As I watch Mark Vientos play every day. But again, he's playing better defense at third base, but I think it's still probably it's like in a vacuum, it's good, but overall, I still want him to prove it like day after day, like Beatty had to do the first month of the season. But I have that little inclination, a little tiny bit right now, and we'll probably do like a whole conversation about Brett Beatty, like once something officially happens here, maybe if he gets moved, maybe if he doesn't come up for a couple of weeks
backstage
about
side.
why it didn't work. Yeah, but Vientos has done two things that we held him very critically for that were these big issues that he's fixed. One of them was hitting against velocity, and one of them was patience. He's seen 35 pitches since being called back up this season that were throwing 95 miles an hour or harder. He has 2 home runs on 6 hits on 12 balls in play and just 5 swings and misses. And if you bump that number to 96 miles an hour, I did 95 just to grab the
Sure.
McKenzie Gore home run from Monday night. But if you bumped it up to 96 miles an hour, he has the 1 home run, the first home run off Matthew Liberatore, the extra inning, the walk off. It was, I think, 4 hits on 9 balls in play, and it was just 3 swings and misses on balls over
It's really
96
good.
miles an hour. And yeah, I didn't check Chase because again, hungover in the UK, want to do this, want to also get a bigger sample. 20 and 30 pitches isn't enough to really see this. Want to see more. When we had his whole career, it was over 100 pitches, but that's super relevant, and that has to be something that was worked on. Even after all these at bats he's had this year, it's like a 15% strikeout rate, a 10% walk rate, and seeing him get on base with the patience, seeing him play at least better defense, seeing him respond better when pitches come at him with velocity. That was the whole key with him. That was why we were like, I don't think he deserves the starting spot yet. But I'm sure the Mets were tracking this in the minor leagues, and it's just, of course, he's hitting better than Brett Baty right now, and everything is just coming back to him. All the credit to him. Major league hitter, good major league hitter.
Yeah,
No
shout out
notes.
Mark Vientos, doing a really good job. Now to get into to pitching for you, James. Tyler McGill. I'm so early. I called him Tyler. Tyler McGill. He did it again. That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch,
I
Tyler
know.
McGill. God damn it. He texted me you up. I answered and then he didn't answer back. Like this is hell. Watching him pitch is so hard as a Mets fan because he does those first two starts. And you're like, holy shit. There he is. Tyler McGill's him. And then he goes out against the Nationals and gets his tits lit. It's like, what are we doing?
This hits where lit. I don't know. I think that this would probably just look more like old Tyler McGill, but he was much better at limiting damage, even though like he didn't limit that much damage. Like Nationals were all over him. 4 runs, 5 runs, 4 earned, 7 hits, 11
Yeah.
hard hit balls. He was just erratic. Like he had no command in this one. But he was truly weirdly saved by new bullpen extraordinaire, Adrian Hauser. At the start of the season, no one wants to see Adrian Hauser ever start again. Hitters hit almost 300 off him. His ERA was almost 9. He had 20 walks versus 20 strikeouts. It was untenable. As a reliever, it's only been 12 innings. And it's not a real sample size, but 1.5 ERA in the bullpen. Like, that's a serious thing. And this is a role that we've died of for someone on this team to have in the last few years, where it's just someone in the middle is just like a little sponge, just sop up the extra innings. And Tyler McGill, I misspoke in the beginning because, again, wine, hungover, but he was the only pitcher in the series not to complete 6 innings, not to pitch into the 7th, only 5. But Hauser came in and he bridged this game all the way to the 8th inning. And that is so relevant for a team like this, where the Mets are really struggling at the back end of their bullpen. And for him to do that, and he didn't look, it wasn't pretty
Never will
doing it
be.
either. Like, he didn't strike anybody out. Yeah, it never will be with Adrian Hauser. But just the fact that he can come in with his little bullshit sinkers, get the command right, get really hot in the bullpen, and just throw like a tick higher, like be throwing 93, 94 instead of 90, 91, 92. That's really relevant. His slider came in. He was throwing 87-mile-an-hour sliders. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're throwing 87-mile-an-hour slider, like, it's going to be hard to hit that as the other team. So it's relevant. Like, even just coming in with the 5 pitches that he throws in a short sample like that. Like, that's the kind of bullshit you have to do when you're not good enough to start. Screaming about this for anybody to have this role. And it's so cool that this was an adjustment that it seems like Mendoza and David Stearns have made. And it got the Mets through a game where Tyler McGill's fastball was just eating the middle of the zone. His curveball was a mess. Like, he was very lucky to get out of this game the way it was. And a big part of it was thanks to the offense
Yeah,
and Adrian
which
Hauser.
that is a sentence. The 2024 Mets season is one of these seasons of all time. It seems like there's just going to be some things that happen where you scratch your head and go, "How is this even possible?" And then the Mets are 14-9 when James isn't in the country, and they're one of the best teams in baseball.
And Rob Manfred's bastardized the game we love. So now a team that's 5 games under 500
We're
is going to make the
still
playoffs. So, like, we
waiting
can't
on
really
free
quit this
tickets. You
team.
can't keep going at Rob.
He's not listening
No,
to
he's
the
not listening.
podcast.
We're not getting free tickets anyway. But
That's what I'm saying. We have 48 hours to get free tickets. It's not going to happen at this point. We're going to have to dip into the funds. But it's just, it's this team won't let you die, because I'm like, everyone makes the playoffs anyway. Like, all right, I guess we'll get in. I'd love to crush somebody's dreams. I know we're not going to win a World Series, but I'd love to make someone suffer. Like, that's all
pull
I
the
want at this
Padres
point.
to the Mets in 2022. Be like, listen, I know we're not going to win the World Series, but let's at least ruin your season.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you could
Yeah.
Padres the
Oh,
Braves.
God, I'd love the Padres the Braves. That's also a sentence.
And the Padres, man, whew. I know the Mets seem like they're in a bad spot right now, but what a disaster they've had since they beat us in that playoff series. Could you imagine trading Juan Soto for Randy Vasquez and
No,
Johnny
I
Barria?
couldn't. I was screaming and yelling about it when it happened, and I caught way too much shit for being on the right side of history and being like, generational player for bullpen arms. Doesn't feel like a good deal here.
Well, they still got Dylan Cease for Drew Thorpe. He's like one of the only
Yes.
things holding that team above water this year. But I don't know, like that team, and like Tatis is good, but he hasn't had that streak
You know
yet.
what
I
the
think it's
Padres
in
could
him, but
really
like they
use?
just can't
Juan Soto.
want
Yeah,
Soto.
they have Juan Soto. They might be competing for the division right now.
It's not a World Series, but yeah, it's just I'm happy we're not that. But just, if I just the Padres and Juan Soto are always on my mind when we play against this Nationals team because I jinxed Mackenzie Gore. Thankfully,
Yes.
literally his first bad start of the year because I talked about how good he was. Semester was just hitting that fastball. It didn't have the same life on it, but like just seeing him and CJ Abrams playing every day, like not every day, seeing Abrams play shortstop every day and lead off this lineup, seeing what Gore's done this year, seeing James Wood waiting in the wings, I'm just like, that's a franchise
Yeah.
altering trade for 1.5 years of Juan Soto. And I'm not comparing these guys, but like sometimes you might just have to take up your chips and leave the table. Just thinking about as we get close to the trade deadline, Pete Alonso, we're getting more and more mentions about the trade deadline. A gut
Oh,
check. Every episode we're gonna do this gut check.
it
Is Pete Alonso
hurts.
met in August 1st?
It-
Is
oh
he a met in
no,
August
he's
1st?
not. He's not. I don't think he is.
Okay. Sorry to make you say that. I don't think so either. But just you play against this Nationals team, and if they had like one computer, I think they'd be like competing for a playoff spot. But they're not there yet. But they got
By the
talent.
way,
They're
hold
doing
on.
it. But
Just speaking of the Nationals,
I don't know.
Dave Martinez got really old, like very quickly.
So old. He won the World
Yeah,
Series
and
5 years
I mean,
ago.
listen, no fat shaming here, but the guy's getting like 40 pounds and he has like a gray beard now. I'm like, where did this come from?
Do you know who looked really fat the other day? This is gonna come out of left
Uh,
field. You're gonna
who?
scream when I say this name. It's a baseball player. Aaron
Oh, dude,
Savali.
my dad texted me about him when
Put
he
on
was
like
watching. He
30
goes, he's
pounds.
like, "Is Aaron Savale always been a load?" And I was like, "I don't think so. Maybe
No.
the Rays jerseys were like not slimming. Thick thighs on that dude."
No.
Yeah,
Fat. Yeah, tits. But I was like, 'cause I have him in so many fantasy
I
teams. He's
caught
had a
him.
terrible year, and I was like, I've never actually tuned in and watched one of the starts, but like I really wanted to watch Rays Orioles. They're just good ball. And I was like, what this guy's got on a fucking elliptical. It's insane. We have a championship to win here. But back to the Mets. Peterson. Another game where it
Yeah,
was just like, like the command wasn't super there, but he just grinded out. I think 6 1/3 or 6 2/3 innings, got to the seventh for sure before the King, Daniel Nunez, like got him out of a jam. But the sinker command was weird. The slider was the only pitch that missed bats for Peterson, but he just kept everything down, which was like the always tried and true method for Peterson. And Nationals couldn't square him up, and he again just gave great
at what
length, did exactly what
point?
he needed.
And this isn't necessarily a negative, but at what point is David Peterson just what he is? Does that make sense? Because like I feel like
Yeah, now,
every
then,
Met fan's
always.
probably still waiting for that first round pick to like pop up. We saw that crazy little spark in 2022 where it was like, oh shit, that was
Oh,
magical. That was
oh
incredible.
my
Like
god,
the
he was so
slider was
good.
unhittable.
I just don't
But
know how that
like
happened.
now we've just seen more of, like you said, like the inconsistencies, and he'll probably never just be that guy to be. I mean, he's not going to be a frontline starter ever, it seems like with the Mets, not in the current situation.
No,
His
fuck no.
mechanics are still all over the place. Like in the highlights of what I saw from him pitch, just that it's kind of like he's not able to repeat his delivery and his motion over and over again, which is what I think leads to these inconsistencies and something we've talked about before. Just being 6'6", 6'7", like he is, makes it difficult. Left-handed, a little all over the place. But if he can give us, like you said, these grinding out starts, these bulldog starts where you just get through 6 innings, you keep the game close on the pitching side. That's kind of all we need from him, and maybe that's the kind of expectation we need to change of David Peterson, and maybe that'll make us not frustrated watching him pitch as well.
I weirdly think that this run through the rotation for him and McGill right now, depending if we wind up trading Severino, depending what happens with Quintana, but with Christian Scott's coming back soon, and he's
Yes.
better than all of these guys for sure, no question. So I think similar to what just happened with Bailey and Vientos, I think there's like a bit of an internal competition going on between McGill and Peterson as to who gets to still be a regular starter, and then who winds up being that bullpen sop it up guy for Adrian Hauser, because Hauser's a guy like we've talked about before. He's still like not great. Like these guys both project better than Adrian Hauser. Adrian Hauser's only on a 1 year contract, so like there's nothing that's really holding him here. Where these guys will both have roster spots next year, Peterson and McGill. So you want to see who's really here. And I think they both fit. Peterson more so because I still believe in McGill, the pitch mix of throwing 5 pitches, 4 pitches, and the start against each side of the plate. Like I believe in that when Peterson's being able to give. He lines up to me so perfectly for that glue guy, that sponge in the middle of the bullpen to be like, okay, like Quintana has to come out in the fourth inning, like
Yeah.
Petey, like give us 50 pitches, and he's like, yeah, I'll go 3 innings, I'll get you from the fourth to seventh right now with just slides and sinkers, slides and sinkers, slides and sinkers, getting another tick and a half on each one of those because like those are still The changeup is still fine, but it just doesn't seem like super comfortable with it against everyone. And it's just those two pitches were everything. And like if that sinker command isn't good, and he's trying to pick off corners, but he's missing them at 92. Like that's how he gets a start where he misses no bats. Like this one, like feels like most of them. But I don't know. We're broken records with these guys because Mets
Yeah.
keep doing the same thing with them. So we just have to keep saying the same shit. So we apologize to that for everybody. But it's just like those guys fit so much better in that tweener role to me than just traditional starters. And I think that's where we're probably heading,
Yeah,
depending
no,
on how trade deadline goes.
especially because Luis Severino over here just continues to shove. I know he only had 4 strikeouts, but he went 8 innings, 1 earned, 92 pitches. I mean,
90
he
pitches.
was phenomenal again. Like these are kind of things where if you're not a David Stearns believer, or if you're not drinking the Kool-Aid yet about like him being a good president of baseball operations, you got to look at the Luis Severino pickup. You got to look at these little moves that have been made. Because again, the moves that he made this offseason have relatively all been pretty good outside of the Tyrone Taylor, Adrian Hauser one. But Severino might be one of the best pickups of the offseason. Like imagine if a good baseball team had Luis Severino. Like he'd be
It'd
coveted.
be a
You'd have,
story.
because it's the cheap 1 year contract with what's essentially going to be a team/player option at the end of the year because he never got given the qualifying offer. This guy's gonna, if the Mets are still completely, like let's just say the Mets are completely out of it, he is going to get back a premium return at the deadline.
No, a chunk. Like it's a shitty thing to hear and to say out loud. And like we're gonna keep like drop these trade deadline breadcrumbs next few episodes, but there's a world where you might get a better
Yeah.
prospect for him than Pete
Oh, I
Alonso,
think you are.
and that's gonna be a miserable pill to swallow. But it's gonna be akin to like what happened last deadline with Robertson, Tommy Pham, and who's the other trade they
They
made?
traded.
Oh, they traded Canada too,
Yes.
and like they got. It's not in the same ilk, but like you just sometimes trade deadline the way teams value players is weird, and the way Luis Severino's pitching right now, the length that he's giving, the way that he's even still not able to click with these off speed pitchers, these breaking balls. It's just I'm happy the velocity rebounded. Last start seemed to all be the stomach
Yeah.
bug that like pushed him down and not having pitched that well, but it's just he just looks at the batter and says, "Fuck you." There's 98. If you want to hit it, you could try and hit it. But I'm so impressed, Severino. I got dunked on Twitter this week because I had a tweet when we were at your birthday actually at Rockarola a few months ago, and I just tweeted Luis Severino's going to have a lower ERA than Marcus Stroman this season. It was right
Ooh.
after the Yankees signed Stroman, and it got like 1,000 likes. It got a ton of engagement, Yankee fans and Mets fans alike. And Stroman had a good start the other day. And I got so many quotes from Yankees Twitter. I was like, "Yeah, you thought." I was like, "Is Severino having a bad year?" It's like this debate is 3-3 versus 2-8 right now, guys. Like this could switch on a dime. Like I would relax with the victory laps in June, but he's pitching awesome. And this has been like you said, such a positive consequence of David Stearns. Like this is the kind of shit where this happens, and we're gonna talk about the bullpen a little bit, but just like this means that shit's working.
Yes.
Like this means that shit's going the way it's supposed to go, and I just fucking love him. He pitches like he's another guy who plays like he's trying to fucking
Yep.
earn it. Like he goes out there, he's like, I don't want things to go well in this game. I'm gonna make them go well. Like I am going to win this game. Like I'm gonna cut my teeth, and I'm gonna go out and dog this
Yeah,
thing.
no, I've been loving the way Severino's been pitching. It's gonna be a shame when we get rid of him, but he's gonna get something back for us for sure. Now, on the flip, oh, you got something else? What do you got?
Something I forgot to talk about. We're talking about the Bailey Vientos thing. There was a great meme from Mike555, great Mets memer on the Twitter sphere, and it was a picture of Ike Davis and Lucas Duda, and it said Brett Bailey versus Mark Vientos,
Oh,
and I was like,
oh,
damn,
that hit.
that one hit
That
deep,
hits.
and that was like the Mets have such a like stranglehold on my Twitter that like these like we get every tweet about the Mets, and like even this tweet, like that's such a niche Mets
So
moment,
niche.
Mets in history. It's got 1,000 likes, not over 100,000 impressions, just to show like the psycho Mets fans on Twitter all day long. But that is looking like something that feels so real right now.
That really hurt. I wish I never heard that. I
I
didn't see the
know,
meme. Again,
I
I've
know,
been busy over here gallivanting on the
I know.
old course at
That's
St. Andrews, but
that's why I wanted to tell you that because I figured you would have missed that. But kind of relevant, and there's kind of a similar feeling inside my heart seeing that.
God, okay, I want to stop thinking about that. I hate that. All right, bullpen. Let me get mad about the bullpen a little bit. Man, is Adam Ottavino dead? As good as he was to start the year, it might
Broken.
be time to take him behind the barn here and call it a career. I mean, he's so crazy broken right now. He's almost unusable at this point.
No, the ERA's climbed to 6. It's just the sweepers are being seen. The velocity's been down, like appearance over appearance. His pitches are moving a little bit less. His sweeper on he only threw a few of them, so it's not a good sample size to tell. It was only 3 of them, but because they had to just get him out because he kept giving up runs. Sweeper
Yeah.
was moving 5 inches less on average horizontally. really bad. Only three
That's not
pitches, but
good.
he's usually averaging 18 inches of break. And the start, he had pitches ranging from 11 inches to 14 inches. It's bad.
Yeah, he's been doing. I don't know if you've noticed watching the games or not, but he comes out of the game and he like never has his hat on, which is super interesting for a baseball player. That's not really the point here, but he's always got this like after the game like confused look.
Yeah, no,
Like he's always like squinting and being like, "What? I still don't understand why this isn't working." It's like, dude, you might just be old and it might be over.
Adam
Like,
Ottavino's a New York guy, and that comes from the George Costanza school of not performing well at work. Where like if
yes,
you're not, and I the few office jobs I had in my life, I mastered this art. Where if you're not doing well, or if you're not busy but you want to pretend you're busy, you have to look mad and confused. You have to
yeah,
sit there at your desk. There was someone at one of my old jobs that did this too, and I called him out on it, and he was like, "You got me." But it's just an old school guy. But it's just you gotta just be like at your desk. You gotta be like, "What?" You gotta look into the sky. You gotta pretend to count things. You gotta look at the desk and like you gotta look longingly out.
that's all he
Yeah, but
does.
that's what I'm saying because he knows he's struggling. He knows it probably might be over, but he's gonna like, let me get back in the iPad. Let me see what was wrong there. Adam, it might have just happened, but I don't know. They still have to throw him out there, I guess. But it's happy to see Drew Smith
Yeah,
get his feedback under him, have some good outings this series, and
of course,
the new king, Deadneil
new
Nunez,
king.
fucking awesome, man. Yeah, I love this guy. There's so many people that are deep in the Mets community that are like really happy for Deadneil because he was a Mets prospect forever, and he's a little bit older now.
Yes,
But we lost him in the Rule 5 draft a few years ago. Giants took him, and then he got Tommy John surgery, tore the UCL just before the season. And you're not going to hold a guy with Tommy John surgery who's got in the Rule 5 draft. So
no,
he actually got returned to the Mets before last season. And he's got a 40% strikeout rate in about 10 innings. It's not a joke. The fastball's up to 98 miles an hour. The slider's 87. Like he's really good. And with Reed Garrett being so-so, Ottavino being broken, and Edwin Diaz, now it seems like maybe it was a fake injury because he's already in a rehab assignment. So I'll
yeah,
tip the cap on that one to you.
thank
But
you.
Danielle's as good a fireman as anybody. Like I to ask you, I don't know who opening that door to the bullpen I trust more in Danielle Nunez right now.
Oh, this team really like. I'm glad Danielle Nunez is great, but hearing that sentence is also just insane. And I
Name
don't
me
know if it's because it's
name me the guy. Name me the guy you trust more.
yeah, Drew Smith. I still trust Reed Garrett. Just make sure it's not the ninth inning.
That's it. That's the only thing you got to do. Our boy,
Yeah, just make sure he's not coming in the ninth.
our boy Isaac Groffman, the king of the Mets pitching threads. He did a big thread about Danielle Nunez this week. It was actually last weekend, but just the fact that he was like legitimately good. It was like he's 27 years old, but like don't let that fool you. Like the stuff is real. Like the fastball slider combination out of the bullpen is awesome. 87 mile an hour slider, 96, 97 mile an hour fastball. Like you can't fake that. And the way that he's getting
Yeah.
these misses and these pitches, like basically 50%. Maybe it's just the league hasn't caught up to him yet, but it works, and we're going to keep doing it as it works.
Apologies for those of you listening or watching if it's a little bit choppy. Something's going on with my mic. I don't know what's happening, but it just starts crackling randomly. So you might hear a little more choppy than normal. It is what it is. What were we talking about? We were talking about the Mets bullpen.
Yeah, I just said, is there anyone that's both me trust more than Reed Garrett other than Neil Nunez? And you were trying to pretend there was somebody.
Okay, listen, call me out. Call me out. I guess maybe I'm just not as hip to Dead Neil Nunez as you, James. I know you're the pitching whisperer. I'm gonna trust in you. If you say Dead Neil's that guy, I'm gonna get behind him. You know who's also been that guy recently?
Oh,
Francisco motherfucking Lindor. That dude
I
has
know.
been balling out
Click
ever
back.
since being moved to the leadoff spot. Seems like it's completely changed what's going on with him. Also, could be the fact that he got a new prescription on those glasses, probably helping a little bit. That maybe he's seeing the ball better. And I think the Mets should really do eye tests with every single player every single year. It looks like there's a inefficiency in the market here where the Mets aren't realizing that players' eyesight changes. You need to make sure they have good eyesight, eat those carrots, whatever it is. But Lindor has just been on an absolute tear since moving to the leadoff spot, and it has changed the outlook of this lineup. It's changed. I hope some people's opinions of how Lindor has been playing. He's been really good. That OPS is up to I think like 720 now.
It is up to 720, 105 WRC plus. Since being moved to leadoff spot on May 18th, the game in Miami, 319, 380, 486 triple slash with a 150 WRC plus. And I think a big part of this is just that like we were saying was going to happen. Like Francisco Lindor's luck has swung back. He had one of the worst batting average of balls in play in the entire league for the first month and a half of the season. And now since he got moved to Leo spot, his batting average of balls in play is nearly 400. So once again, it'll swing back again. But it's just this is something that's real with Lindor. He's stealing bases again. He's up to 9 homers and 9 steals on the season. So that's again pacing
10.
for like a 27-27 season, which is awesome.
He got his 10th home run. If you count, I don't think it's
Oh
updated
yeah,
yet because
oh
remember,
yeah. It's
it's
3 o'clock in the morning.
it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It hasn't updated yet, but he did get
Forgot.
his 10th home run. Yeah,
Okay, so that average would be up to like what 325 on base, like 390, and then
yeah.
slugging percentage about 500. So
He's having a
hey
good
Beth,
little
hi Anya.
season.
We got a dog. We got a dog in the podcast.
Dog on the podcast. Dog on the podcast.
Yeah, but
Woo.
Lindor looks awesome, and it's happy. I think him like again, you could just feel it. Like he kind of drives the whole team. He drives the whole energy. When he's playing well, everyone plays better. The game on Wednesday, him and Pete had the four hardest hit balls in the game. It was just a situation again. We're like, we are better than you. We will defeat you. And it's just really nice to see all this come together. But there was one thing that happened with Francisco Lindor this week that was weird to me and rubbed me a bit the wrong way.
And
And
I
it
know
comes
what it
back
is.
to the Mets seemingly just being perpetually online as an organization and maybe being a little bit insecure in like their marketing and their social media, where they put out an all-star ad and Francisco Lindor wasn't on it.
Yeah, that's like almost actually, it's not almost criminal. It is criminal. The fact that your $300 million player is not, and maybe we're looking into it too much. Maybe we're just, again, maybe a little jaded, and
Very, very
yeah,
jaded.
we're jaded. We're not a little jaded. We are upset, but the fact that he's not on the promo for the All Star Game voting for a guy who still hasn't made the All Star starter, right, or All Star
That was
team
National Leaguer.
as a New York Met, really bizarre, especially because now now I'm really reading into it. Pete Alonso was on there, and we don't think he's going to be on this team in August. So weird that you're pushing a guy that might be traded, who also is not playing at an All Star level. Like it's not like
And,
Pete is having this incredible year where it's like we got to get our guy in. Weird.
and Francisco Lindor, of course, leads the Mets in WAR.
Yep,
It's over 2 WAR in the season. He has the 11th most wins above replacement in the National League.
that's
He has the
crazy.
third most among National League shortstops, but fourth most because because I think it's like Mookie's definitely the starter at shortstop in the National League. That's
Yeah,
not a question. And Ellie De La Cruz is 100% going to be on the team. But then the last spot is definitely between Francisco Lindor and Willie Adames, and that's not something that should be taken lightly. Those are two guys who are not having very different seasons at all.
no,
So two guys who are within a fifth of a win, which is basically the same thing. Like between like a half of a WAR. People like to cite WAR all the time, but that's almost kind of just like a rounding error. So it's I don't know. You gotta have confidence in your guy. Like maybe he didn't want to be on there. Like maybe he's like I'm not playing well enough. Like put Starling Marte in there. He's having a better season than me. But
oh
also
yeah, Starling Marte was on there. What the fuck?
that's what I'm saying. So like, but Lindor has 10 home runs, 9 steals. He's better than league average officially with the bat. The OPS is into the sevens, and he's worth over 2 WAR.
Yeah. I mean, it's
What
gonna
what else do you need?
be like you said at the end of the year. It's gonna end up being a nice year. Just digging those numbers up and up and up. Keep on climbing. Make those old Mets fans mad when you start playing well. And I'm cool with it. Again, good Lindor's good for this New York Mets team, and he has been very good. Some other housekeeping notes around this series. Shout out Jacob Barnes, very angry this series.
Old
You
friend.
see him come off the mound screaming the other night. He
Always
was
did. Love that
frustrated.
fire.
That dude is absolutely yoked, by the way. I forgot
Yeah,
how
no.
strong that human looks. Nationals they got a lot of strong people on that team. Jacob Young, too, is just like built like an ox. And they don't even have Stone Garrett, who might be the
Monster.
most built player in Major League Baseball I can think of. Got some muscles on this Nationals team. Not a lot of wins, but they got some muscles.
Stone Garrett looks like the running back for Tulsa. Like that would be
Ooh,
his role,
nice.
like in a perfect life. But also love every single time we get to Washington. Howie Rose fucking hates that place because they put the TV and radio, the visiting TV and radio booths
So
like in
up.
the corner of the outfield. It's like he couldn't see. There was a moment to end the game on Tuesday where strange moment where like Starling Marte and Harrison Bader came together in
Oh,
short right
yeah.
field, and Marte caught the ball and he was very truly mad at Harrison Bader for coming in that play as a center fielder trying to make a play. And especially Starling Marte's been shaky as hell in the outfield. I don't fault Harrison Bader for trying to catch a ball, but I was like, I can't see it. I can't see you called it. Someone called it. Put it in the books. I hate this place. Like that was how we signed off on the call, but that was really cool. And yeah, I mean, it gets a fun series. Nice to go and beat the Nationals like we're used to doing.
Yeah, and we got the London series coming up. The Mets are currently on flights to
Boy,
London, so we will see them there shortly. Again, the boys are across the pond. We're going to be in London for the London series. If you guys are around, we're trying to figure out some sort of meetup with you guys. If you're in London to watch the series, I think James, you have the details a little bit more. We don't have a place yet, but we have a general area.
yeah, we're gonna meet up in Hackney Wick, which is near West Ham, which is where the game's being played. I was talking to my guy Kenny, Dutch Mets fan, met last year. I was talking to my guy Ian, who's a Londoner, who was giving me some recommendations, places to go. like you say, supports West Ham or at least goes to games. So he said some good pubs with either food or no food around Hackney Wick. It seems to me like Hackney Wick is kind of the Bushwick of London, which is
Okay.
hilarious that this is where the Mets are playing this game. But I'll feel comfortable there, which would be nice. But we're going to pick a spot. We're going to tweet that. We're going to Instagram it probably Friday afternoon and probably repost it on Saturday morning so people know. And again, this is all UK time. So sorry if you guys get spammed in America. We've been so dead in social media too because, like, again, it's just us guys. And we can't stay up at 3 a.m. and live tweet these games.
No.
But we're going to spam that shit out there. We're going to talk about it. It's, yeah, that's we got Sean Manaea and Jose Quintana going across the pond. I don't think
Jesus.
I don't think we're going to grab many fans with those two guys, but it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited to see this. I'm really excited to have this experience. I know you've gone the last couple of years and you've spoken like so highly and so glowingly of it. We love England over here too. I love London. Great country, great people. Um, the best. But it's gonna be a really fun time, and I'm very excited to be in it and see what English people think of the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna see the Mets all right, like you said, Sean Manaea and Jose Quintana. What an injustice to the game of baseball we're gonna be showing them. Man, I don't know why did Jose. No, he didn't. He didn't. I was gonna say, did Jose Quintana pitch in London before? But he wasn't on any of the teams before that. So
No, and
my brain's all messed up.
and also the Phillies are pitching Ranger Suarez and Taiwan Walker, so the Londoners are not going to see a fastball above 94 miles an hour from a starter. These two games really bringing the best.
Did you see who's throwing out the first pitch in London?
Yeah, Matthew
Matthew
Broderick.
Broderick. It's so random.
Insane. He's got to be half English, right?
Does he? What team does he like? He's got to be a Met fan, right?
I'm sure he feels like a half English, grew up in New York kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I
But
don't.
I'm just happy to pick someone without a problematic past.
Yeah, Ferris Bueller. I got nothing else for that.
But
I got nothing else for that. All right, let's go
that's it.
ahead and do a quick little prospect report for you. Again, we are away, so we're not going to give you the densest of prospect reports here. But Baseball America did just drop their new top 100 prospects. As they do, they've been updating every single month, and the Mets got 6 of them. We got a new one in there, James. Who is it?
Brandon Sproat.
There he
We did
is.
it, Joe. We fucking did it. Mission accomplished. I was so excited. I saw this. I got tagged in it like 4 times and Baseball America posted it. And that's why I DM'd Eddie. I was like, Brandon Sproat. Brandon Sproat. But I was like, I can't believe it. Like, he's a top 100 prospect. The prophecy's fulfilled itself. At least not a guy, Brandon Sproat. He has best start of his career in Double-A over the weekend, where it was 7 innings, 9 more strikeouts, 1 hit, I think 1 walk, no runs. And he's awesome. There's nothing really to say about Brandon Sproat right now. Him and Blade Tidwell both got on the end of the list. I think they were 98 and 99 or 97 and 98. The 6 players the Mets had in Baseball America's top 100. That's second most in baseball.
Okay.
I think only behind the Baltimore Orioles. And that even comes with Luis Angel Acuna dropping off the list. And I want to say someone else dropped off the list as well. But it was Gilbert, it was Williams, it was Christian Scott, it was Tidwell, it was oh my God. I think it was still Mauricio, weirdly enough, and it was Brandon Sproat. So very relevant. The Mets, as bad as the season has been, you guys still have to have a lot of belief in what we're doing player development, and it was just really encouraging to see that in the newest Baseball America update.
Yeah, no, super cool to see the Sprout goat make it onto the top 100. Really vindicate all of James's takes here. But you've been on the money with this guy. He's been really, really good, and he threw 100 right the other day. I think I saw the tweet too, where it's like Brandon Sprout 100.
101.
Even better. Not just
Yes.
100, 101.
Yes.
Fuck you, slow fastballs. We throw hard here. Also, part of the prospect report, you guys might have heard of him, Francisco Alvarez, rehabbing out in Binghamton in Brooklyn. Caught a combined no-hitter for the Cyclones the other night. Shout out Dakota
Yeah.
Hawkins, Joey Lanciolotti. Good Italian there. Joey Lanciolotti.
Hey.
Good Italian. And Joshua Cornelli, who, that guy's Venezuelan. Would you have guessed Joshua Cornelli is from Venezuela?
Definitely not, but I also would not have guessed Ernesto Aveledo was Venezuelan.
That's fair. But yeah, shout out to Alvarez. Shout out to the guys in Brooklyn throwing a combined no-hitter. I'm sure it's also really cool for them to pitch to a guy like Alvarez, where,
So cool.
like, again, Lisan Al-Gaib, talk about the guy that everyone's hyping up and excited for to come back. And just even more of a credit, again, to Francisco Alvarez's ability to call a game, the props that he got from Scherzer and DeGrom and Verlander and all those guys of just like, this dude's such a fucking dog. I can't wait to see him back, even though Luis Torrens is elite. But I can't wait to actually see a really good catcher play soon.
It's also definitely something to like Alvarez walking into that high A locker room is probably a trip
because he's like 23.
Like he's young. He's younger than half the guys there, and he probably comes in with a crazy vibe, a crazy energy. He probably puts his arm around all the young guys, probably talks to all the Latin dudes. And he's like, oh, I know this place in Brooklyn. I know this place in Coney Island. Like, I was just here 2 years ago. But Yeah, last thing in the prospect report too. This one hurts me because I wish this guy was pitching this weekend in London, but Christian Scott just had a good start for AAA. We're saving his innings, but he throws 5 of them in AAA for some reason. Taking money out of a young man's pocket. Just had a really good start. 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, 1 run, 2 hits. Every single one of his pitches had at least a 40% whiff rate. I don't even see what team he pitched against here. It doesn't matter. They're all minor
Yeah.
leaguers, but they made no hard contact really. Everything looked good. He should be pitching with the major league team.
So I have been looking up the players that were pitching in that no hitter. And right now, Francisco Alvarez is younger than Joshua Cornelli. He is 2 years younger than Dakota Hawkins. I'm trying to find Joey Lanciolotti here, which let's see how old Joey is. Joey is bang 26 years old. So Francisco Alvarez is at least a year and a half younger than all the guys he caught throwing no hitter in Brooklyn. Little bit concerning, but also cool.
That's cool and concerning, but that's minor league baseball, baby. And I guess we just kind of did the Phillies preview. We got Mania versus Ranger Suarez. We got Quintana versus Taiwan Walker, and it's going to be a home run derby. I hope they bring the juice balls out there. But hit us up, guys, if you're across the pond. The English are doing horrible English things with this series. They're selling a dual, if you've seen it, a Mets and Phillies combined shirt with their logos
Oh,
interspersed on a Hawaiian shirt. It's one of the worst things ever. I
oh,
think we should maybe buy one, maybe light it on fire.
maybe.
I'm thinking about that. That could be something fun we do in the city. London's a lawless place like New York, so they and the police have sticks. Like we could have some fun there. But
Go, I'll get you.
oh yeah, I'll punch you in the mush, you see. But yeah, we're gonna have some bad English accents. We're gonna do a stupid media marvels also on Sunday after the game. I think we're gonna have some blokes on the show with us. A couple, couple,
Oh yeah.
couple proper English folk. And we're gonna have, if you guys have been in baseball tour the last few days, there's a debate raging on baseball versus cricket. So we're gonna bring that one to the fold. We're gonna have some fun. I'm very excited to be in England, and I think this is gonna be a really cool event this weekend.
Yeah, London series is awesome. I'm super excited to get out there. Super excited to hopefully see some of you guys as well at the game, around, maybe having a drink at the pub, whatever it is. Make sure you hit us up. You can hit us up on Mets'd Twitter. You can hit us up on our personal Twitters. I've got the DMs open
Also
because we're
Instagram.
in London. Yep. You also hit us up on Instagram. So the DMs are open. If you guys are looking to catch a drink, looking to see where we're going to be, definitely will help you guys out and fill you in there. Anything else? Anything else? I do have a funny story that I want to share from Scotland, which went out last night, and I saw a fight, which was pretty cool, and I might have antagonized
Hell
a
yeah.
couple of Scottish chavs, as they're called. They have like that crazy like shaved side of the head and then like the mushroom cut hair over top. Basically, it maybe I won't explain the exact reasoning of why the guy got mad, but they were walking through a very crowded pub, and the guy's like, "Oh, you want to touch me?" He goes, "I don't want to fucking touch you," and he just sucker punched the guy like immediately in the face. It escalated so quickly, and the guy ate it. To which I proceeded to say, "You're a bitch. You didn't even knock him down." And then that got him even more mad. And I don't think he knew it came from me. He think that came from him and his friends. And they started pushing and shoving each other. And then the rest of the Scottish chavs came over and threw their beer at the guy and got everyone at the bar soaked. They proceeded to get thrown out. Turns out they were in the Scottish Army. It became a really big deal all of a sudden. Like they need to get like information. Who did it? Was it this guy? Was it that guy? This again, the UK is a pretty insane place.
Not
Like it's
real.
crazy to think that like we technically like America came from there because it feels like we couldn't be more different outside of the fact that we're the only countries that really speak English. So bizarre.
It couldn't be no more different, but they're also like, besides like America and Canada, I feel like two of the most similar countries in the world. But
Yes.
it's an unserious place. Being here is hysterical. Like people just don't act
I love
normal
it.
or regular here. Yeah, it's a great place to be, but it's so completely bizarre. Like we're gonna have a proper roast in a few days. I'm gonna have Yorkshire
Ooh.
pudding. Like we're gonna do some wild stuff. It's gonna be a fun time, and we're gonna
Cheeky Nando's, James. We're getting Cheeky Nando's.
yeah, we're getting cheeky Nando's. All right, I think they're bringing that to America, but cheeky Nando's. I mean, Mark's a lad. You guys can tell Mark's a lad. He's a classic lad.
Of course.
But
Yeah, classic.
this is such an unserious country, and I'm very excited to have some fun in it.
Yep. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening to this chaos episode of the Mets Up podcast. Next one should be in person. We're going to have some fun. Again, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets Up on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Want to see the YouTube version of this? Go check out the Mets Up podcast YouTube channel. Shout out to everybody over there. The support's been really good. That channel's been popping off in terms of Mets podcasts, which is extremely niche on YouTube and really hard to build up. But you guys have been doing a really good job. We're dominating the views over there. So we appreciate you. If you are listening still, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review. Should we read out some reviews? I feel like it's been a couple episodes since we've
Yeah,
given some people some shout outs here. So I'll let you pull that up here while I keep giving the spiel. You can follow James on Twitter at
James _ Shiano.
I'm Draftnik Mark. Shout out wise on the podcast reviews. What do we got going on here? Also, I'm about to catch like a 5 hour train to London. How that feels so long.
You're
I don't
so cra-
know.
you're so crackly too.
Oh, great. Okay, I'll fix that while you're looking for the reviews.
All right, this is a hilarious one. The New York Metsicist, I guess a play on masochist. 5 star. Tried to find your Facebook page and leave a review, but I guess I'll settle for Apple Podcast. Listening to your unfiltered takes is 100,000%, 100,000 times 1,000. Jesus Christ, I'm so hungover. 1,000 times more enjoyable than corporate mumbo jumbo. Seriously, imagine not being able to curse during this year like we're having. Could it be me? Anyway, where is James going to change his Twitter? When is James going to change his Twitter handle back to Jeter had no range? OG listener here. Keep up the great coverage of the Mets. Hope to catch you guys at the game before it's too late to salvage the season. Might have to go to the Dodgers on Monday to see Shohei. So you probably saw some hell games last week. This review's from 2 weeks ago, but hopefully you're having more fun now since then. Mets a kissed, but that's the only review we're gonna do right now. We gotta get off here. You gotta catch a train. I also have to catch a train. We gotta get the hell out
Oh,
of
that's
here.
true. Get
Yeah.
the hell out of here. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll smell you later. Peace.
Peace out, guys. See you next time. Oi.